And it's lights out.
Welcome back to Drive Through Penalty. I'm Sean, we're here with my father as always, and we're headed into the second race of the Formula One season in 2026. We're headed to China.
Well, what did you think of the race, Sean? Actually, before you answer that, I've got to say it because I know we were talking last week and I was feeling the Mercedes love and the George Russell love. But I said, keep your eye on the hometown favorite, you know who, Oscar, and he had a disaster. He didn't even make it to the grid. And now he has a new nickname and we call him Oscar Disastry.
Well, that was terrible. I did make a last minute switch in my fantasy to throw Oscar in instead of Kimi because Kimi crashed in FP3. I didn't think his car would be finished in time. Yeah, it was a disaster. And I, more than anything, forget my fantasy team. I feel terrible for the guy.
Well, I did feel bad for Oscar. I like Oscar, but it happens. The two Ferraris in the Italian Grand Prix, they came like 17th and 18th. So it was a disaster. But knowing how you are such a fan of Ferrari, I have to ask you, because you know what? The cars look good. They did the same stupid mistake that they've done before.
Nope. Yeah, we could talk about Ferrari.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari, they're what a great start they had, and Hamilton was involved, and Charles was involved, and then, they just made one of those stupid mental errors again, and I don't know if the CEO of Ferrari is going to come on and blame it on somebody, anybody, except the guy who made the bad call.
100%.
Tell me what you think.
Okay, well, first and foremost, I think Ferrari is finally headed in the right direction, whether you like to think it or not. I think McLaren came out and said that the SF26 probably has the best chassis on the grid this year, which is kind of nice to hear. Again, doesn't mean much. They struggled on the straights. They weren't as quick as Mercedes was, but in terms of cornering, they might be the team to beat this year.
The argument is not the car. It's the thinking.
Okay, so
Lewis Hamilton basically told his director to take a hike.
Yeah, no, it was another classic bad call.
They didn't come into pit. I mean, it was just
no. They had a chance to pit the cars during the VSC, and they didn't.
right.
And then you start saying a prayer. You go, okay, we need another safety car to come out, which it did a few laps later. But Charles was just passing the pit lane entry, and we missed it again.
oh
Yeah. Come on. Classic Ferrari. Let's just say I am very much looking forward to China because I think it might be a different story this weekend. Other teams to talk about. We, for the first time, saw Audi on the grid, and we, for the first time, also saw Cadillac. And I was very happy to see Audi competitive through the practice sessions. Bortoleto, loved him last year. I have high expectations and hope for that rookie. He did a great job this weekend. It was unfortunate that Nico didn't get to race.
very unfortunate. I had him.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Like you don't even know this guy doesn't even come out of the pit lane. It's tough, but you know what? We're gonna have to get used to what's going on. You mentioned Cadillac, and actually Cadillac had 2 boxes to tick, and they ticked one of them. One of the guys actually finished the race.
Yeah,
The other guy didn't, but that was their goal in week 1 was to get to the checkered flag.
Overall, new regulations, it kind of sucked to see the cars slowing down on the straights into that awesome chicane, super clipping, energy harvesting, battery. Like the amount of times I heard that over the weekend was kind of...
I don't like the fact that the drivers aren't just racing. Now they have to become engineers and figure out the battery power and all those things. But I will give them credit for one thing. That race to watch was as exciting as maybe the top third of the Grand Prix last year. So let's give it a chance. Maybe they can make that having to slow down and go away without being overly visual. Because the fact that they were cornering and the cars are just exploding like when the race started, that could have gone really south.
Totally, and the cars are going to perform differently at every different track. I think Australia, you're kind of seeing the worst of what these cars look like with the long straights. China's going to be different. We're going to talk about the track in just a sec. You mentioned it. It was an exciting race. I think we had 120 overtakes compared to last year's 45. Does it mean, these regulations are amazing? No, but
No, but it's what they want is more competitive for TV viewing.
Yeah.
And they got that. Whether as race fans we're okay with how they got there, maybe not, but it was exciting.
It was exciting.
Just trying to figure out if your guy was going to finish or start.
So, that's pretty much a good segue to jump into this week's race in China. Stick around because I'm going to jump in the sim and do a lap for you to give you guys a better feel for what it looks like because we're in for a good one. Let's get into it. So this weekend, we are headed to the Shanghai International Circuit for the second round of Formula One this year. The track is 5.4 kilometers long, 56 laps, a nice mix of straights, winding turns. It's going to be an absolute banger this weekend. First debuted in 2004, and like we were saying before, this one's going to be completely different than last week in Australia.
It's also designed by the famous Herman Tilke. He is, in 2010, he was commissioned to be responsible for any of the new F1 tracks. And he's probably got about 12 tracks that he has designed in the F1 circuit. And he probably has 3 or 4 rebuilds. The only thing that he wasn't responsible for was the rebuilding of Silverstone in 2010.
So something I recently learned is that the layout of the track is actually supposed to resemble a Chinese character, Shang. Can you see it?
What?
Yeah, it is.
As I always like to say, Sean, or ask, what happens at corner one? Because whatever's going to happen at corner one might be completely different than what has ever happened at corner one before, just the way the cars take off like spaceships from the start line.
So turn one in China is actually very, very different. In my opinion, it's one of the most interesting corners in the Formula One calendar. It's a long, winding inwards. Turn 1, 2, and 3, we call it the snail section. It's incredibly difficult. You see tons of dive bombs, tons of people taking the inside and outside. It's really, really hard to nail. Again, like I always say, we'll probably see some chaos there. It's very, very difficult. It's such a nice mix of corners. And then you have one of the longest straights. I think it's turn 13, where you get this long straight. Lots of overtaking I think we're going to see this week.
Let's have lots of overtaking because you know what's next? Yeah. Japan.
And if you remember from last year, I think we both...
I snoozed through that one.
Yeah, we were snoozing. That being said, there's going to be tons of tire degradation. So, it's going to be interesting to see the pit stop strategies. It's going to be all about tire management again, which in my opinion, it's kind of nice. You get that chess aspect to it where, not everybody's running the same strat. So it adds a little bit of, there's variability to it. So I think this one's going to be good. And again, we don't have to worry about that super clipping and harvesting as much as you do in Australia. So I think you're going to see some more actual racing this weekend, which is what I want to see.
Well, cross your fingers. Okay, now that we've had that brief conversation, I think this is a great moment when you get to get in a car and show us a sim lap. And I don't know what car you want to take, but why don't we give Oscar one more chance?
Okay. Yeah.
Take Oscar.
All right, yeah, we'll jump into McLaren and let's show you guys what a lap looks like at the Shanghai International Circuit. We are at the Shanghai International Circuit, headed into turn 1, the snail section. Trying to stay in the middle of the track here, dropping it all the way into 3rd gear, just going to clip this corner. Going to take the inside down to 2nd gear. And we are going to open up here around this corner. Approaching this quick section of the track, but then it comes into heavy braking at the 100-meter board all the way down to 2nd gear. We are going to try to just clip that inside curb again, back onto the throttle, 5th gear, 6th gear, a very fast left-hand corner, almost flat out. We're going to do a doubles downshift here as we approach another tricky left-hander, braking heavy down to 2nd gear, back onto the throttle, just clipping the inside, maximizing track limits. And heavy braking at 100 meters all the way down to 2nd gear. We're going to just wind around this corner, clip the inside curb into a very fast, tricky section of the track. Lots of passing here. The track naturally wants to throw you to the left. And we are approaching the longest section on the track here in China. We have DRS Open, which no longer exists this year. We are looking for the 100-meter board, heavy braking, staying to the left side of the track, just going to clip the inside. And we are headed into the final section of the track. downshifting at 50-meter board all the way into fourth, clipping the inside curb, and that's a lap in China.
Okay, thanks for that, Sean. That was a good lap. I think, this weekend is also special because there's a sprint and everything, and we're about to get into the details of the F1 pool. And maybe you could give us your take on how it's different when there is the sprint weekend followed by the race. There's less qualifying. Got to get your picks in earlier. Sometimes it's a good time to use one of...
There's tons of chips to use, and let's talk about that F1 fantasy strategy in just a sec. But before we get into that, why don't we make some predictions for this weekend? Who is your top three?
I'm going to throw a twist in here, but I am going to go with Mercedes, and I'm going to take Mr. Russell, and then I think I'm going to take Oscar Piastri.
Ooh, okay.
And then I'm going to take Kimi Antonelli. So why am I... You know what? The McLaren can't be as stiff as everybody's saying. It's these guys are world champions, and they're running on the same engine that Mercedes is. So I'm not saying it to belittle Ferrari. I'm just going. Nobody's even talking about Team Orange. How about you?
Okay, so I'm letting the delusion set in here.
Turn up the smoke.
Charles Leclerc, number 1. Kimi Antonelli, 2. And George Russell, number 3.
Boy, we like Antonelli, don't we?
I think he's great. Yeah. And
he's old enough. He's got his driver's license now.
Congratulations. Real quick, we didn't mention it. Arvid Lindblad, the other rookie, who started in Formula One, just a little bit older than Antonelli. Fantastic debut performance. He absolutely killed it. His race start was unbelievable. Kudos to Arvid and the other young guy, Hajar. He looked like he was in a good position all weekend. It was very, very unfortunate to see that happen. But
one last note on Australia, because if you recall, I was talking about their attendance, how it was the strongest attendance in Formula One, and that they'd gotten up to 465,000. And I said, I don't know if they can put any more people in there, but I would love them to hit 500,000. They hit 485,000.
Okay.
So next year, maybe we can get to 500,000 because nobody else is close. China's 220,000.
We might have to go. We might have to go to the Australian Grand Prix.
That's right, 500,002.
Okay, guys, let's jump right into the fantasy segment because this is a sprint race weekend and it is crucial to set your teams up properly. Let's go. So welcome back to the fantasy segment portion of this video. As you know, we're headed into China. As you know, it's a sprint race weekend, and if you played the game before, you know that sprint race weekends mean more points up for grabs. It also means more room for error, which is why it's so important that we set up our teams here properly. So this is our team coming out of Australia. Again, not the best results we could have hoped for, not the worst, but overall we're pretty happy. And like I said earlier, this is a pretty solid foundation for moving into China. We have 2 free transfers this week, so we got to use them effectively and wisely. And as you know, we always use our favorite tool here, and that is f1fantasytools.com. We use it for 2 reasons: for the team calculator, and we also use it for the budget builder section, which helps us figure out who we want to get rid of, who we want to put on our team if our goal is to increase our team's value, which is imperative this part of the season because we made $2.7 million coming out of Australia, and we want to get to that 2 constructor premium build essentially in the next couple weeks, the next few weeks. As soon as we can get there, we're going to want to do it. Obviously, as you can see, I have no Mercedes assets whatsoever, and our first order of business is to get Mercedes in here somehow. So that being said, we still have to make some more money to get there, and almost all of our guys are in the green here except Oscar Piastri. So we have a couple options here, but first let's hop over to the F1 Fantasy Tools website and let's get some information for ourselves here. So budget builder section, one of the most useful as always. This gives us a good visual of who is ranked from the top to the bottom and is going to help us score these points. So Russell, of course, 82% chance of increasing by 0.3 million. Verstappen also up there. Leclerc third, Antonelli, and we move our way down the list. So we're probably going to want to keep Leclerc. We're probably going to drop Piastri because that doesn't look good. So looking down here at the Tier B, this is where you're going to score or lose the majority of your points. This is where it's so crucial to lock in your lineup and make sure that these guys are increasing your value, because there's more to gain, there's more to lose here. With your Tier A drivers, you can only gain or lose 0.3 million, while your Tier B drivers can gain or lose you 0.6 million. So top 3 drivers predicted to score money this week: Behrman, Lindblad, and Bortoleto. We have all of those guys, which is great because that means we don't have to start moving those guys around and dropping guys that DNF'd. You guys obviously have different teams than me, so take a look at this list. If you have somebody at the bottom, get them out. If you have Stroll or Alonso, get them out. But for instance, if you have Hülkenberg, there's a 2% chance he's going to increase by 0.6 million. Not great. Hadjar the same, all the way up until you get to somebody like Gasly, who again only has an 18% chance of gaining that 0.6 million. So use this here to help you base your team. Again, you can look at the constructors on the other side: Haas, V-Carb, Alpine, all great Tier B constructors to have on your lineup. But real quick, we're going to jump over to the team calculator. This is going to give you guys another visual of what the simulations predict to be the top scoring team this week. And as you can see, it's a Mercedes-Ferrari combination with Leclerc and then 4 Tier B drivers. It's going to score you points. Is it going to increase as much in value as maybe some of your other options, having a Tier B constructor in there? No, but it depends what you're trying to do. Ultimately, we're trying to get here. We're probably not going to get here yet, but it's just something good to think of mentally when picking our team. Back over to the F1 app. We're not going to lock in anything, of course. We're going to wait until sprint qualifying is finished, because you get to watch sprint qualifying and know what the starting grid is before you actually have to lock in your team, which is extremely useful. Now, we have chips we can use. What chips would we want to use this weekend? Well, we've looked at the forecast. Might be raining on Sunday. We might have some accidents. A no negative might be something to look at. We could use our final fix, which I wish was activated last week. The F1 app didn't allow for it because we would have got Piastri out and put somebody else in. But let's talk about the big one. It's Limitless. This might be the best week to use Limitless in the entire season, and I'll tell you why. Because right now we know indefinitely who the best constructors are. We know exactly who the best drivers are on the grid. As the season progresses, that might change, which makes setting up your Limitless lineup much, much more difficult. If anybody were to be asked who are the best 2 constructors on the grid right now, without a doubt, you would say Mercedes and Ferrari. Who are the best drivers? You would say it's definitely Mercedes and Ferrari, and that 5th driver is an obvious Max Verstappen. So the only way I would run this is if my team in the background is still going to be set up in a way that it's increasing in value, because that's how it works when you're running your Limitless chip. And as of right now, my lineup is perfect except for Oscar Piastri, but the Tier A drivers can only increase or decrease by 0.3 million. So we might just say forget about it with Oscar Piastri and assume he's going to lose us money, but just cross our fingers and hope that these other drivers and constructors finish the race in the background for us. And we're probably going to lock in a Limitless build for this week. Not sure. Again, we're going to watch our practice. Suggest that you guys do that as well. If you have any questions, drop them down below. Happy to answer them. And good luck to y'all. Let's get back to the video.
Thanks for the wisdom. Welcome back. I also wanted to mention Lewis Hamilton didn't finish this race last year. If you remember, he was DQ'd. This is the one where he had the problem with the undercarriage of his car.
That's right.
He seems to be more focused. You know what? I'm starting to root for him again because he's just getting pissed off at everybody.
Yeah, Kim Kardashian might be actually good for the guy. I hate to say it, but
probably be okay for me too.
Again, we're excited about this week in fantasy. Started the week off pretty good. Wasn't the top team this week. I was expecting Haas to be a little bit better, but anyways, I think we got a good foundation for the year. It can only go up from here. We're going to stay competitive. Stay tuned every week just for all your stuff on F1 Fantasy. Thanks again for watching the video, guys. We really, really appreciate it. You can show your support by liking the video, subscribing. We've grown to 550, which is pretty cool if you ask me. We were aiming for 1,000 this year, so I don't know, maybe create 450 accounts and subscribe if you want, but no, I'm just kidding. We're going to get there. Very excited. Enjoy the race weekend. Enjoy the sprint. Only 1 practice session this week. The times are wild if you're on the East Coast like us. I might be pulling an all-nighter, might be waking up early.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, they're not good, but
I set my alarm for 2.
Stay tuned for the next one. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We are in China.
And we're going to get takeout.
Okay, what would you like?
Chinese food.
All right.